Hi, I'm Old Norse Specialist Dr. Jackson Crawford. Today I'm back to continue my read-through of Hávamál in Old Norse, explaining the stanzas as I go, not with a polished translation like that you'll find in my Wanderer's Hávamál, but to help those who want to understand the Old Norse text better. Couple things as I'm getting started here. One is that I use reconstructed medieval pronunciation, not modern Icelandic pronunciation. Hence, for example, Hávamál, not Hávamál. I do know the difference. I'm deliberately choosing the reconstructed medieval pronunciation. Another is that the runes you'll see on screen do not reflect the way that Hávamál is actually preserved, since it is not preserved in runes. They are a personal interpretation of the text and a younger Futhark, because I'm asked for this so much. And because having produced various versions of it over the years, there might as well be one in a place I control rather than just, you know, on someone's Facebook page somewhere taken from some old version of it. And for those who have been watching this series through, the previous installments were all filmed in July. This installment is being filmed in October, so there may be a little bit of a jump in climatic conditions. And then the next ones go back to July, because this installment, as originally filmed, had terrible audio, so that's why I'm redoing it. All right, so stanzas 64 to 77 are what this video covers. 64. Ríkisit skili rósnotra hver í hófi hafa, þó hann það finnur með fröknum kemur at engi eina hvatastar. So everywhere of council-wise men, Rolsnotra, should have skuli hafa, his power, sitt riki, í hófi, in moderation. So he should have his power in moderation, perhaps show his power in moderation. I don't know what the microphone might pick up, but if you hear a lot of birds, that's nuthatches. I think red-breasted nuthatches. Then he finds it, þó hann finnur það, when he comes, kemur, among the bold, með fröknum, that no one at engi is boldest, hvatastar, of ones, eina. Generally, the interpretation of this is something like, then he finds out, if he hasn't been showing his powers of moderation, that when he is among the bold, no one is actually boldest of all, so no one is best of all. Maybe you ought not to show off, because then people maybe will want to come after you because you're the fastest gun in the West or what have you. A little bit hard to say. There is a very similar line, by the way, in Fávnismál. 65 is probably just half of a stanza. Orða þeirra maður öðrum segir, oft hann gjöld getur. Of the words, þeirra orða, which a man says to others, maður segir öðrum, he often gets repayment. Hann oft getur gjöld. So you often get repayment, presumably in kind, for the words that you have spoken to other people. Easy enough. 66, a little bit more difficult. Mikilsti snemma kom ek í marga staði, en til síð í summa. Ól var drukkið, sumt var ólagað, sjaldan hittir leiðar í lið. Much too mikilsti, early, snemma, I came into many places, ek kom í marga staði. But too late, until síð, into some, í summa. The beer was drunk, ól var drukkið, some was unmade, sumt var ólagað. Seldom a hated one, sjaldan leiðir, gets to hittir íð, a joint, live. Now what's going on here? It looks like there's actually an Old Norse idiom where gets to the joint, as in when you're cutting apart a carcass with your knife and you get to a joint, that this idiomatically means find the right moment. So sometimes he's come to feasts where the ale's already all been drunk. Sometimes he's come when it's not made yet, right? Neither one is the right moment. A hated man seldom finds the right moment. So perhaps if you're someone who's somehow socially undesirable, hated later, then you will find that people find ways to maybe not necessarily deny you hospitality, but to kind of excuse the fact that they're not offering you ale because either, oh, sorry, it hasn't been made, or sorry, it's all been drunk. Of course, something that Egil Skallagrimsson in his saga is familiar with as an excuse for not providing hospitality. 67 also has a similar tone. Her och hvar myndi mer heim of boðið, ef þyrftak at málungi mat, eða tvá lær hengi at ins tryggva vinnar þars ek hafða eitt ettit. So, here and where, Old Norse idiom, somewhat similar to English, here and there, her och hvar. One would have invited, myndi have is understood, boðið invited me home, mer heim. If I needed, ef þyrftak, the K is from ek, suffix to the verb here, not, that's the gi on malungi, which is malum, meals, gi, the negative suffix not. So if I did not need food, mat, at meals, at malum, which is inside malungi. Or if, and I'm putting if here because it's in the previous line and also because the verb is subjunctive, would hang, hengi, two hams, thighs, pieces of meat, två lær, at the home of the true friend, ins tryggva vinnar. Here the word home is not expressed, but as I've mentioned before, in English you can say a person's name in the genitive and have that understood to mean at their house. So I might say, I'm at Faith's, right? Or I'm at Joe and Candy's, implying at Faith's house or Joe and Candy's house. So at the true friend's, meaning at the true friend's house. Where, thars, I had eaten one, ek hafða ettit ate. Now, Bo Almqvist has the classic explanation of this as sarcastic that I accept. What he's saying is, I would have been invited to this true friend, right, very sarcastic, true friend's house, if either I could make more food being hanging at his place than was there when I got there, so I'm delivering more than I'm eating, or if I didn't need food at all at meals. So again, sort of like 66, it seems like we have a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek description of reluctant or poor hospitality. 68 begins a few stanzas with a somewhat different tone. Elder badster med yta sonum och solar syn. Heilindi sitt ef maður hava nóir, on with lost at liva. Fire is best, elder badster, among men's sons med yta sonum. Of course, men's sons are just men. This is used as metrical filler. And the sight of the sun, och sin solar. One's health, sitt heilindi, if a man gets to have it, if maður nóir hava, it, or the object, understood here, without sin or flaw of some other kind, to live. So to live, at liva, without some kind of sin or flaw, on lost. '69. Erat maður alls vessal, þótt hann sé illa heil. Sumar af sonum sæl, sumar af frændom, sumar af fe urnu, sumar af verkum vel. a man, maður, is not erat in everything poor, als vessel, though he be, thot han se, badly healthy, so bad of health, illa heil. A certain man, some, so in English some is always plural. Here, summer, the cognate word is singular, but idiomatically in English, of course we would express this in the plural, so let me do it in the plural in translation, but understand it's grammatically singular here in Old Norse. Some are happy from sons, sal of sonum, some from kinsmen, some are of frandom, some from enough money, some are of urnufe, some from works of verkum, well, so probably well done works, jobs well done. 70. Betra livðum en se ólivðum, oi getur kvikker kú. Eld sá ek upp brenna, auðgum manni fyrir, en úti var dáður fyrir durum. So it is better, betra, for the living, livðum. And then the way that I've rendered this is the typical interpretation of this line, starting with, I believe, right all the way back in Rasmus Rask. En se ólivðum, then it may be, en se, for the unliving. Oi getur kvikker kú, the living one, a living one, kvikker, always, oi gets a cow, getur kú, with cow standing in for any good thing, presumably, and cow chosen because it alliterates with kvikker, alive. Now that en se ólivðum, where I'm using the old emendation, is actually not what the manuscript says. The manuscript says ok sal livðum, and happily living. Now, this is difficult because there's nothing then to alliterate with ólivðum. O can precede an alliterating syllable, so then that livðum can alliterate the livðum from the first line. Sal livðum, we don't have any alliteration because there's nothing to alliterate the S in sal livðum. Still makes sense. It's better for the living and for the happily living. But most people have referred this old emendation to en se ólivðum because it provides a better contrast, right? It's better for the living than for the unliving, rather than better for the living and the happily living. And we get alliteration. Jonas Kristjansson and Vestein Olason, in their recent edition, have suggested that another emendation might be ok se illivðum, then it may be, and even it may be for the badly living, illivðum. Although I don't see how this fixes the alliteration problem, it still makes good sense too. Now the second half also has trouble. I saw burn up, ek saw brenna up, fire, eld, before a wealthy man, fyrir auðgummanni, or for a wealthy man. But outside, in uti, dáður, death the noun, although this would be a rare form of it, or dead, the adjective, was before the doors, var fyrir durum. Now a lot of this depends on whether you think that the fire is burning for the man or just before him. It would be the same word in Old Norse. And whether you think that it's death, the noun that's outside the door, or he is dead outside the door. I've gone back and forth in a lot of different ways about this. Currently, I think I would say that I see it as, I saw a fire burning for a rich man, perhaps inside of his house. So that's fyrir auðgummanni. But he was outside dead, dáður, before the doors. So he's got this nice thing inside his house, a comfortable fire, but he's dead outside the door to his house, where he can't enjoy it, right? It's always the living who gets the cow or gets the warm fire, not the dead. So it doesn't matter even if you're dead and rich, you're still dead. And we have very similar thoughts, the next two stanzas. 71. Halter, ríður, hrossi, hjörð, rekker handarvanar, dáver, veger og dugir. Blinder betri en brender se, njuter mangi nos. So a lame one, a lame man, halter, rides a horse, ríður hrossi. A man lacking a hand, handarvanar, drives a herd, rekker hjörð, sheep or cattle or what have you. By the way, in the actual manuscript, what this says is hundarvanar, which looks for all the world like dogless man, although hundar is not a recognized form of the word hundr, dog. and it doesn't give us the same parallel that handless gives us with the other bodily impairments in the other lines. A deaf man, Dauver, fights and wins, veger och duger. Better, betri, is blind, blinder, than it may be, and say, cremated, burned. It's better to be blind than cremated. No man, mangi, enjoys or has use of, niter, a corpse, nos. Nyota, the verb enjoy or have use of, takes a genitive object, hence nos is genitive. In my translation, I've rephrased that last line as a rhetorical question because I think we make that kind of point that way usually in English, so who has use of a corpse, something like that. 72. Sonur betri, þótt sé síð of alin, eftirgengin guma. Sjaldan bátasteinar standa brautu nær, nema reisi niður at níð. A son is better, sonur betri, though he may be, þótt sé, born alin late síð, after a past man, eftirgengin guma, after a man has died. Sjaldan, bátasteinar, these are generally assumed to refer to the memorial stones that we see in pagan times in Scandinavia. Stand near a road, standa nær brautu, unless nema, a kinsman, neither, raises, reisi, for a kinsman at need. Now, neither can mean various different kinds of kinsman, often son, but it can also mean father or grandfather. So it can mean further down the line of direct descent, son, grandson, but also father, grandfather, etc. Oh, those are red-breasted hedges, now I see them. And then interestingly, that at, notice that it takes an accusative object here, nid, not a dative object like the preposition at would typically take in Old Norse. That's probably because this is actually from aft, and a preposition that we see in a lot of runic inscriptions, which apparently means in memory of, based on its use in runic inscriptions. So unless a son raises it in memory of a father, although of course the word used for father and son is the same because it gives us alliteration. 73. Tveru eins herjar, tunga höfuðs bani, mer I heðin hvern handar vani. And let me point out one curious thing here, which is that this stanza is in Molahotter, not in Ljóðahotter. So different meter from the rest of the first part of Hávamál called Gestaþolter. So this interrupts this long continuous series of Ljóðahotter stanzas that we get from 1 to 79. And so it is probably an insertion at a later time and not originally part of this text. What we've got is 2R, tveru, one's destroyer, eins herjar. A tongue, tunga, is a head's killer, höfuðs bani. So 2 defeat 1, your tongue may endanger your head. There is to me, mer, into each coat, I hvern heðin, expectation, vani, of a hand, handar. So every time I see a coat, I expect that a hand's hidden inside of it, probably holding a weapon or something else to use against one, i.e. in a hand hidden by a cloak, I expect to see a weapon. Might be an extrapolation of that, and that's what I use in my translation. 74, another slightly weird one. Not verður fegin, så nesti truir, skamaru skips roar, hverf haustgríma, fjólðum viðrir og 5 dagum, en meira og mánaði. At night, note. So this is not the night becomes happy, but at night becomes happy. Verður fegin, that one who trusts his provisions, his food, his meal. So that one, so becomes happy. Verður fegin, at night, note. Who trusts in his coming meal, probably through nesti. A ship's sail yards, roar, are short. Skips, roar, ru, eru, skamar. Probably implying this is a sailing trip close to shore. So the vision that I get here is someone sailing home who is happy thinking about the meal he's about to have. He's already prepared for that short rest of his trip. But an autumn night, Haustgrima is changeable. Huerv, huerv. The weather changes, vidrir, that verb pretty much just means that with no stated subject. Vidrir, weather changes, greatly, fjol, in 5 days, or 5 dagum, but more and mera in a month, or månadi. So, what are we to see here? I see a vision of someone who is sailing home. It's a short way to come home, and he's happy thinking about the meal he's about to have. He trusts in his meal. Truer, nesti. But the autumn night is changeable, so he's got to watch out. The weather's going to change. I mean, less than 24 hours ago, I was sweating in 80s degree Fahrenheit, and now it's snow out and it's like 14 degrees, so I understand. Autumn is a very changeable month. It'll be hot again in 2 days. And then we have a related last half. The weather changes a lot in 5 days, more in a month. So pretty much just don't trust that things that you can't control are going to go the way that you want them to go, especially things like weather. And we see actually that theme come up again in Odin's Demi, Odin's examples, the next section, where one of the things he compares, or several times when he's talking about things you ought not to trust, he compares them to weather-related phenomena, which of course we can't trust. Another thing to note here, in line 4, which is already weird because it's a second C line in a Ljóðaháttr stanza that has nothing to do with magic, that would make it hypothetically a Galduralog stanza. We have huerv with a B, not with an F at the end. This is probably a regional form, perhaps a unknown Norwegian dialectal form. There is a B in the root of this word in Germanic, so this could just be from a dialect area that maintained that B instead of turning it into a V sound spelled F, like in most dialects of Old West Norse. 75. Veita hin vatki veit, margar verður af öðrum api. Maður auðigar, annar óauðigar, skilit þann vitka vor. Now I have a bunch of chickadees in the tree next to me. That one does not know. Hin veit a being the negative suffix. Who knows nothing. Veit vatki. It is possible that we ought to read this a little bit backwards. That one, who knows nothing. Hin veit vatki, does not know. Veit a, perhaps does not know it. The one who knows nothing doesn't realize that he doesn't know anything. Many a one. Margar here, of course, is nominative singular. In English, we only really use this in the plural, so I'll turn this into plural, but again, understand it as singular grammatically in Old Norse. Many become fools, api, fool, from others, is how I'm rendering this, av öðrum. A man is wealthy, maður auðigar, another unwealthy, annar óauðigar. One should not, skilit, blame, vitka, that one, that other one, presumably than, for the woe. For, you blame someone for something in the genitive. This is the genitive of wo, woe, trouble, problem. Now let's go back to line 3 for a moment. The part that I render as a man, as many become fools from others, probably by listening to others, öðrum. In the manuscript, what we actually see there is láðrum, which the AU ligature often represents the vowel O, so it could be láðrum or lóðrum. Different people take this different ways. David A.H. Evans, among many others, amends this to av aurum, so from money, many become fools from money, certainly makes sense, and also parallels a line in stanza 34 of the Christian Eddic poem Solar Ljóð, which is margan hevir auður apat, wealth has made a fool of apat, many. But who knows, the word láðrum or lóðrum is unknown, so surely it must be amended to either öðrum or aurum or perhaps something else that has not been guessed yet. The famous 76 and 77. 76. Dør fe, døja frænder, dør sjálfur it sama. En orðstýr døjar aldrei, hveim ser góðan getur. A cow dies, fe dør. Kinsmen, frænder, die, døja. Oneself, sjálfur, dies, døjar, the same, it sama. But fame, orðstýr, dies never, døjar aldrei, for that one, hveim, who gets getur, a good one, góðan. So cows die, kinsmen die, you yourself die the same way, but fame will never die for the one who gets a good reputation. A good reputation will never die for the person who gets it. 77. Now in my new edition with the Old Norse text and my English translation and commentary called The Wanderer's Hávamál, I have the first half of this in square brackets because it is not written out in full in the manuscript, but we have abbreviations that indicate to repeat the first half of 76. So I'm just trying to be as candid about what the manuscript shows as I can be. But we repeat the same second half. The manuscript clearly shows us. Døjar fe, døja frænder, døjar sjálfur it sama. Ek veit ein at aldrei døjar, dómur dáðan hvern. Now remember, the pronunciation I'm using is medieval, not modern Icelandic, and that the runes are younger Futhark, Viking age, not elder Futhark. So again, cow dies, kinsmen die, oneself dies the same. I know one, ek veit ein, one thing that never dies, at aldrei døjar, the judgment, dómur, about each dead man, hvern dáðan. So, again, cows die, kinsmen die, you yourself die the same way. I know one thing that never dies, the judgment of each dead man, presumably the judgment by the living. As Hávamál speaks never of the afterlife or the gods in Gestaþóttir. All right, well I hope that has been a somewhat interesting or informative look at these stanzas of Hávamál for you. I hope that you'll look for my new edition and translation of Hávamál in the Wanderer's Hávamál that will have the Old Norse text as well as facing page English translation, my commentary on the text, especially for learners of Old Norse, and the Cowboy Hávamál, and an introduction to Hávamál and some related texts. And I think it'll really be a more faithful representation of what is really in the Codex Regius manuscript of Hávamál than you will find in any book that's really accessible outside of the Byzantine architecture of university libraries. And I hope that you'll check out my more than 300 other videos about many other topics in Old Norse language and myth on this channel, including a whole lot about Hávamál. And for now, from beautiful Colorado, let me wish you all the best.